Welcome back to another episode of What Are We Drinking? Today we have the beautiful Beck from Care. And so welcome back.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Rachel.
Oh, so excited to have you here. So first of all, we always need to find out what we're drinking. So do you want to tell us a little bit about your drink choice?
I know it's a bit. So I chose green tea. The reason that I chose green tea was it's just one of my comfort drinks.
Okay.
I was saying to Billy, the reason that I love green tea is when I was younger, we would go to this Chinese restaurant and we would drink green tea. And we always went for like celebrations or if something special was happening or if I did really well on a test, my mum would take me there. It was just me and mum. And so whenever I have a drink tea, it's just one of those comforting things that I'm just like, it's just,
oh my God.
You know, gives me the good feels.
Oh,
So,
I love that so
green
much.
tea.
Well, let me taste it. Let's give it a whirl. I want to cheers you, but it's not alcohol. I won't judge you, but anyway.
Good temp.
Good temp?
Yeah.
I like mine a little bit hotter next time, gang, but anyway. Okay, interesting. I can see how it vibes with Chinese food.
Yeah.
I feel comforted. Do you feel comforted?
I do.
Okay, cool. How comfy is this lounge?
It's gorgeous.
I know. I
This
feel like
is-
I'm on like a pillow right now.
Yeah.
So good. All right, cool. So, Beck, tell me, we have Care. We were established in 2020. We are co-owned between yourself and your hubby,
Yes.
Brenton, which is super exciting. I love that it's a family-run organisation. I love your vision. I checked out your website today, first of all, digging the colours. And our vision is a world where people with disabilities achieve true independence, experience the fullness of family, and lead purpose-filled lives. I love that so much. And our mission, supporting people with disabilities with the same care and advocacies that as if they were our own family, championing dignity and independence. Now I'm getting a familiarity, is that how you say that word? Familiarity? I'm just not going to say that word again, of family. So tell me a little bit about that word, that choice of that word, how you came to your vision, and a little bit about Care.
Okay, where do I start? So, Care was birthed out. Do you want you want the real answer, hey?
Oh,
you
absolutely.
want the full on.
Don't give me the no bullshit one.
Okay, because what I would say is, we were established because independence. No, to be completely honest, the reason that I started a business was for my family.
Yeah.
I became a mum, and I was like, I have to give my daughter something bigger than what I am. Like, I'm not enough to. I want to give her more opportunities than I've ever had. I want to be a good role model than I ever had. I want to give her more. That's why I always. Before Care, I had a few efforts. I did the oil stuff, the essential oil stuff.
Oh, essential oils, yeah.
I did. We tried to do a streetwear brand. We tried a couple of different things. But then I realized I'm an excellent support worker. And I loved it. And it filled my cup. And so, things happened and eventually we started Care. And to be completely honest, it was for my family because I wanted to give them a bigger opportunity. And so the reason that family is so important is because I know I'm not the only person who's, family is, the most important thing and the driving reason. So that's why we actually put in our progress notes as a section where we feel, and we actually ask our support workers to ask themselves, is the care that you delivered the care that you would want to be delivered to the person, to someone that you care about, or a person that you're related to, or to your special person? So, yeah, and that makes everyone think every single shift, did I do what I would want to be done for my family?
Yeah,
So,
I love that. I love that you've embedded that in your organisation too. And so there's a few services that you offer under your brand. What's your core business? What do you do?
The core business is disability support in the community.
So community disability support. I love that so much. And any other supports that you deliver aside from community support?
We have branched out into, so now there's also Care Therapeutic Services,
Yes.
which is really fun. It's very fresh.
Yes.
But we happen to find the best. Like, people might say they have the best practice manager. No. I have the best practice manager.
Lucky I don't have a practice manager.
Because she's an angel.
Yeah.
And so with her and her talents, I've been trusting all her direction. And then obviously we'll liaise and like I bring my guidance, but she brings her expertise. And so, yeah, we've already started to have some really good momentum, which is really fun and really exciting. And it's so good because it really complements what we're already doing. So not only are we going, okay, yep, Becca's a disability support worker, she has all this knowledge from being a disability support worker, we've also got now advice from, you know, allied health professionals and stuff like that.
So what is, for those of us that don't know, what is therapeutic supports?
Therapeutic supports is, so it's called therapeutic supports, what's it called? Care and Care Therapeutic Services, because that's our allied health brand.
Okay, so it's allied health services?
Yes.
And so that would include what, OT, speech, behaviour support, psychology?
Looking for all of those things.
Okay.
But as you know, they're a unicorn to find.
Yes.
But no, currently we have a mental health social worker, which is so fun. I didn't even know that was a thing.
Oh, I love that.
And we're looking for a psychologist. We're looking at partnering with someone in specifically as well. So that's a really fun thing. But I can't go there too much because but
it's like signing an NDA. I really want to tell you, but I can't.
Yeah. But we do have some other therapists as well that we're trying to line up. So
oh, that's so exciting.
really
I can't wait to see this come to fruition. Now, you're based on the Mid-North Coast.
Yes.
And that's your service region.
Yeah.
So what made you sort of go there, stay there? Is it just because it was your local area, or how did you make that decision?
I was actually born and raised in Liverpool, so southwest Sydney.
Okay.
So that was my upbringing. I was there, and I became a big part of my person was grown in Liverpool. And then my family
From the wild, wild west, hey?
Yeah.
I say where they breed the best.
Yeah. But my family moved us to the Mid-North Coast just because they wanted a quieter life. And so I finished year 12 there and then realised, and then I very quickly met Brenton. Actually, I met him in the last year of high school, so we've been together ever since, and that's where we set ourselves. I think one really cool thing about where I live and what I noticed is when I moved there, all the people who were there didn't realise the beautiful town that they live in. So I was constantly in awe of, like, you go to the beach and no one's around. Like, it's paradise. The beach is gorgeous. Like, the beaches aren't polluted. They're clean. They're beautiful. They smell like a beach. Like, it was just a beautiful area. And so so now I'm always telling people, you've got to move to Mid-North Coast. I should, like, make that, like, my second business.
Is Mid-North Coast Central Coast?
No, we're lower. We're higher. We're more north.
Okay, so where does Mid-North Coast start? So I'm clear.
I think Barrington tops.
I don't know where the fuck that is.
Yeah, it's somewhere. I'm not very geographically.
No. We might have to find a map to put here. Yeah. Well, insert map here, right? Oh, that's exciting. So your service area starts and finishes where? Do we know that?
Oh, look, anywhere that's within our kind of 50, 60K radius.
And is that because you want to be local to your clients? Like, you want to be able to get to them? Or was it just, because I know a lot of providers, like, they've gone to other states where they don't even have an office, you know. Is that the primary reason for you?
I think the primary reason to why we've stayed in our locale is because we're still quite fresh and wanting to master what we can where we are, because I feel like doing business in regional is very different to doing business in city. For example, our staffing is incredibly difficult. I don't know if it's similar for here, but, you know, when I put out a job ad, I might get 50 resumes. 40 of those resumes come from Sydney, so that gets rid of that lot. And then maybe 2 will have the qualifications and the things that we're looking for. And then once we do interviews, it'll be, oh, great, we've got 1 person from that, or we don't have anyone at all.
Wow, that's so interesting, because I know when we put a support worker job ad out, let's say in Western Sydney, sometimes we get upwards of 900 resumes, right?
I'm so jealous.
And so you're absolutely right, because we obviously service the Central West, so we're looking at Bathurst and Orange areas. When we do the similar scenario there, we might get exactly that, 40 resumes. So tell me, now we know that you've got workforce planning challenges in rural areas, what do you do differently to try and like acquire good staff, good people?
Well, we found that personal brand is working.
Yes.
And that is actually something that forever I've been like, no, not important. I can't see the ROI on that happening quickly. But no, I've learned to eat my own ego, swallow my ego, and
or get an ego.
Get an ego. Yeah, true. Get an ego and go, actually, no, that works. Personal branding does work, especially because if you want to stand out as an employer, like people are listening, people are looking for that. Of course, people want good employment, but they just need to know that you exist. And I didn't realize people didn't know that we even existed. So now, because we started to build our personal brand, build our business brand, and put more out there, we're starting to see a bit more momentum with people actually coming to us with resumes and going, oh, I actually vibe with you. I vibe with what you're putting out there. Can I put my resume in? So,
I love that.
Yeah.
Isn't that interesting? I always say people follow people, right? And so gone are the days that people just want to work for one organisation. They want to work and understand who's leading that organisation and make sure there's value alignment there and whether they believe that they want to work for that individual. And I've often found the same too. Now, more than ever, if I put a job ad on LinkedIn and I put my face behind it and say I'm looking for someone, we get a far higher caliber of people applying. Even when people come to interviews, we frequently ask like, what sort of drove you to apply for our role? And often they'll say, I've seen Rachel in social media, or I've seen her on LinkedIn and I really want to work for her, or she's a vibe, or whatever, and that has honestly been like one of the easiest quick wins for us to, particularly in our senior leadership team, to be able to get really great people. So I love that so much, that you're leveraging your personal brand for sure.
Yeah.
Anything else that you guys do
to acquire
good staff
where it's quite difficult?
Just trying to think. We've got a provider starting up in a rural community. What kind of insights can we give them to like get good people so that they don't have to figure it out?
So they don't. I think when you take care of your team, your current team, they'll tell their brother, their sister, their auntie, I'm working for this great company. And that's actually been another way that I don't need to try and do what feels like a hopeless Indeed ad.
Yes.
Sorry, not that Indeed's bad.
We love you, Indeed.
We love you, Indeed. But just for where we live, it just,
we still love you, Indeed.
Instead of me doing that job ad that doesn't feel like it's working, we have people refer people that they know who are also in the same industry. And then we have these really good, like, we've already got a great reference because people don't want to work alongside people that they don't think are going to slack off.
And good people know good people, right?
Good people know good people.
Yeah.
So it's like a good way to like multiply what you already have.
Exactly. Yeah. I love that so much. It's so good. And so we talked about the green tea and Chinese with mum.
Yes.
And I pick up that family is obviously very important to you. Tell me a little bit about your relationship with your mum. She seems like an important person in your world.
She is. She's the best. My mom, oh my Lord. Okay. She is incredible. I wouldn't be who I am without her. She, okay.
You're allowed to get teary on my podcast.
Okay.
And then we can even hug. We can move to the floor if you want. Okay. Just hug.
So my mum raised me by herself from when I was 7 till about 15. And the challenges of being an immigrant whilst having some other challenges, and my mum not being able to speak the language and not being able to learn the language as well as some other people as well was a really big roadblock. Yet she always did her best to make sure that I had my basic needs met and that I felt loved and that I was surrounded by good people. So she would, my mum's the bomb. And she's still there even for me now, like when it comes to raising my babies now. So she's, she's quite a remarkable woman. And,
I love that so much.
Yeah, and she's always telling me how proud she is, and that always is really, especially coming from Filipino culture where you don't talk about your feelings. You show love not by saying, you show love by doing. And so for her to say I'm proud of you is also quite huge, because again, it's that thing of we don't say I love you. We show it by doing. And so for her to reach out into that toolbox of words is quite powerful. So
I love that so much. And it's so clear like how much it means to you, because even when you started your business, you were doing that for your family, you know, so it's very evident that the lessons that your mum have taught you have shaped you to be the woman that you are today, you know, and how important she's made family for you, you know. So I often think we come from whatever our mummies teach us, right? The good and the bad.
yeah.
Let's talk about growth. Now, growth has its challenges.
Sure does.
Growth has its challenges.
You're familiar with that, aren't you?
Oh, I don't know what you're talking about. Yeah, growth certainly has its challenges. I mean, it's super exciting, right? It's like one of those really exciting moments where your business starts to take off, but obviously people don't realize the other dark sides that come with growth as well. So tell me a little bit about your growth journey with Caring Care.
I have had to learn so much about, I think this is a really common story actually, where disability support workers go out on their own because they're really good support workers. And so it makes sense, right, to go and start a company because that's where your skill lies. But the challenges that arise are not just the service, not around the service and the service delivery. It's also about the managing of a business, which includes things like finance or HR, you know, fair work, learning all those, you know, WHS. Those are not things that you typically learn how to structure being a disability support worker. So because my background came from being a disability support worker and then moving into business, I had to learn so much. So that has been a big part of the journey, is being open to that growth and open to those lessons, and trying to also find that balance of, holding the hands of those two worlds.
Yeah, totally. It's such a big learning curve, right? It's like you have to grow, your business is growing, you don't know what the fuck you're doing half the time, but you need to perceive like you have it all together. Yeah. You know, even me, I started as a support worker, I moved up different roles, and by the time I left my previous organisation, I was in executive leadership role, right? I thought I fucking knew it all, right? I was like, you know, I've been in executive leadership roles as if I don't know how to run a business, you know? My ego was through the roof. How quickly I got, you know, my face slapped, you know, when I realised that I had to know so much more than what I actually knew, you know? So I can't even imagine what it would have been like coming from a different sector, you know, and then, you know, having this beautiful Carey mentality and then trying to have to figure it all out as well. So hats off to you. Where did the name Caring Care come from?
Again, honest answer?
Yes.
Oh, I was filling out the ABN and like the details, and I was like, what's a good business name? First thing that came to my head, I'm like, okay, I know I've got to make our business name obvious. That's what I thought. Make your business name obvious.
Yes.
Right. There's got to be some kind of care, because that's what everyone does, so they know. And so I just went Caring Care. That describes who I am and what I want to do. Threw it down, and it's just kind of it actually started off as Caring Care Support Services.
Okay.
But that was a mouthful. Yes. So now it's Caring. Everyone is calling it Caring Care. So then when we rebranded, we just stuck with Caring Care.
Yeah, I love that. We've also dropped the support services off of our branding as well. It was getting too much, and I think, you know, when, you know, 4 years ago, 5 years ago, that was the norm. You know, and we're seeing obviously a different, you know, a change in our marketplace as well.
Does my hair look okay?
Yeah, you look gorgeous. Okay. You look so gorgeous. Well, interestingly enough, when I started Alara, I was going to call us independent living people, right? Independent living specialists or something, ILS, independent living specialists. And it wasn't until somebody said to me, you're actually fucking having me on, right? Like, you're not going to call your business name that. I'd registered it and everything. I was in love with it. And I thought exactly the same thing. We had to be obvious, right? We're going to be you know, SIL specialist. So, like, what better way than to just say what we are, you know? And it wasn't until this person was like, that's terrible, that I was like, oh, okay, all right, no worries. So went back to the drawing board, and that's where Alara was born. Thank God someone gave me the honest truth.
Can I ask, what does Alara mean?
Yes. So it come from two things. So Alara was one of my shortlisted names of my girls. So it was close to my heart because it didn't quite make the cut, but I still wanted to keep it in our family. And it's actually also means someone who's always seeking innovation, so who's always pushing and striving for something greater or better. So it just seemed fitting at the time. So, and I love it.
And remains so. It is really fitting,
yeah, I love it so much. I love it so much. Now, you own the business with hubby.
I do.
I got to ask, how on God's earth do you work with your husband?
Here's the salt to my pepper.
Turn it up.
No, I love working with my husband. I truly do. And when there are days when we don't get to work with each other, I genuinely miss him. Because we just, I think doing business in family together at the same time, especially when you have to work in such close proximity of each other, you learn not only how to run a business, but you have to learn how to communicate incredibly well with not only your staff, but you learn how to bring those skills into your relationship, because you can't have those arguments or those things in front of your staff. So we've learned very quickly, and there's definitely been times where people will, like, especially at the start, where they would feel, okay, something's tense. Where we've had to learn, okay, this is how we resolve our issues. And so, I feel like that, like, we truly, genuinely, I know this sounds funny and people are like, what? We genuinely don't fight, because whenever we have a disagreement, or at least it's not the type of fight that I grew up with. What I grew up with was, when you have feelings, you let them out, you be honest, you put it out there. Doesn't matter if it's yelling or whatever it is, you put it out there, and that's good. And to me, that's still healthy. You need to put it out there, because otherwise you don't deal with things, you don't grow from it. But I learned that being with my husband, his way of communication was not only he wasn't good at putting... With Brenton, I found that we kind of came together with our very different ways of dealing with what's the word?
Emotions? Thoughts?
With
Feelings?
Disagreements.
Okay, yeah.
We came from very different ways of disagreeing, and then brought it together. Like, we've had to learn together to go, I need to bring my brutal honesty. Yeah. But I need to also learn from his, you need to speak in a certain way. So together... For it to be conducive. For it to be conducive. Yeah. You can't just keep letting off your fire, which is my natural go-to. And I still erupt. Yeah. I don't not erupt. Yes. Like, I'm human. Yes. But I've learnt that I need to get to a certain point and communicate in a certain way. And so it helps a lot. Yeah. And so that's why we're able to work together and work really well together.
Oh my God, hats off to you. There's no way on this planet that I could work with Todd. I love him, don't get me wrong, but very different people, you know, so hats off to you. I often, you talk about conflict, for example, and I know when we were doing therapy and we were learning the Godsman theory, and there was a session that we did that said two people are typically, when they come together, either like the same confrontation or they don't. So, for example, when there's a conflict, typically there's someone who wants to get into it and have it out, and then there's someone who likes to retreat. So you either both like to have it out and go to war, or you both like to retreat, or you have one or the other. And so Todd is the one that likes to go to war. He's like, we've got a problem, you know, and it's like, let's fight it out. And I imagine it sounds very much like that's how you go, you know. And I'm the opposite. I need time to go and calm down and rationalize before I'm willing to come back and step in. So it's been a journey for us too, to try and manage that, whereby the challenge that people have when they want to go to war, so to speak, is they want to quickly resolve the problem.
Yes.
And so it's not in a bad intentional way, right? They want to resolve it and they want to resolve it now. And so let's just have it out, right? And so what I had to learn to do in my situation is when he would want to come and have a conflict with me, it was about reassuring him that he's still going to have the opportunity to be heard and when that would occur. So I would have to say to him, I really want to hear you out. I need to go and like regulate myself right now. But how about we come back and have the conversation at 7 p.m. tonight? And then I'm like open and willing to listen to you, you know? So that was like a bit of a learning for us as well in our relationship. And so what are your biggest tips to work together then with your significant other?
I think make it very clear from the beginning that what you want, what you both want. And you'll probably find, because the reason that you're together is that you have already an aligned destination. Now it's just about how do we go about that, and what do I need to expect from you, or what do I expect from you, what do you expect from me, and let's make that clear from the get-go. Because then when it comes to conflict, we can go, okay, it's not that we're at war with each other, or like I'm wanting to win this conflict. It's we actually want to get back to that same place of feeling connection, but we just don't know how to get there. So even before we get to conflict, we have at the front of our mind, we're both looking for connection right here. We just don't know how to get there. And so we just need to approach it with that destination in mind, is connection.
I love that so much. And so you set up like different roles and responsibilities. Is that kind of like, because I imagine you have different skills, right? And I know that if I was working with Todd, he would want to be in control of the money because he's a tight ass. And so he'd want to make sure that we cut everything, every single spend. I'm like, buy everybody biscuits and nice things and flowers for their birthdays. He'd be like, no more spending, you know? And he's very risk adverse and I'm very risk tolerant, you know? So I know that we would have different skills in business. So how did you design that? For your roles and responsibilities, and does that mean that like each of you have captain calls in each of those areas? How have you figured that out?
To be completely honest, I think because we're also young, it changes and it changes quite regularly. So there have been times where I'm more with the family and then he's more on the work, and then there are times like in this current period where he's more on the family and I'm more at work. So it's just kind of again, I think it's that constant evaluation. That's why to us date nights are huge. Like I would not be able to survive if I didn't have that regular date night, because we just start to slowly go to different directions. So for us to be able to manage that and manage the changes, those frequent touch points, the same way that you deliver your service to your clients, right? You have to have those regular touch points. Otherwise, you know, they might be thinking this way and then you're like, oh, no, we're doing great. And then you're like, oh, actually, I didn't give them the opportunity to talk or give me feedback. And then, you know, you'll split ways.
Yes.
So it's the same way with our relationship. We have to have those frequent touch points and go, how are you truly finding this? Do you need anything from me? Do I need anything from you? This is where I feel like it's lacking.
So you often have these touch points. What does that look like? Is it date nights? Is it like, how does it work?
So people do advise don't bring work to date nights, but because work is such an important part of my life, it definitely is one of the main talking points. And I love it and he loves it. We're genuinely passionate. Like you know how people like, you got to separate, you got to have that healthy balance between work and your personal life.
Bullshit.
It's bullshit.
I'm calling bullshit.
It is, because it's like, if you really fucking love what you're doing, it's a part of your life.
But also, what do you just go, okay, 5 o'clock, I just, you know, I'm now walk out of the office and I turn to mum. Like, I'm not a fucking robot.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like, and also my business is my fucking hobby. So fuck you. I want to do it all the time.
But that's exactly right. So drawing that line between family and business, like, and work, or like, because especially if you really genuinely believe in your mission, which I do.
Yes.
I genuinely believe that we are going to, and we do, and we're going to continue helping people thrive. Well, I can't clock off from that. So
yeah, but also, like, when you're growing, thriving, trying to build a fucking business, like, this whole idea that you can do that on a 7.5-hour day is bullshit. Like, you have to live and breathe this shit. Like, if you want it bad enough, you have to go and get it, right? And if that means that, you know, mum and dad are working 12-hour days, what do you think that that's inherently telling our children? You know, it's like, I think it's building that in them. It's showing that if you want something bad enough, you have to work hard.
Yes.
You know, and sometimes that means that you have to sacrifice other things, you know, and sadly, that's you, children. No, I'm just joking. But, you know, sadly, it is the other things that you love in life, you know, but otherwise you teach them mediocre, right?
Yeah.
Like, so how do you, I know that you have, obviously, you work together, you go home together, and then you sort of, I imagine that you would have conversations in front of your children, so you're teaching them healthy relationship habits. Like, what do you think you're imparting on your children, like, just by working together, having a business, all of that kind of stuff?
So prior to marriage and prior to children, I always thought, keep that conflict away from your kids. But I've now learnt that actually having that healthy conflict in front of your kids is incredibly healthy. Like, you're teaching them communication skills. You're teaching them to not be afraid of conflict, because every time, as you know, the more you avoid conflict, you're actually creating more pain for the future. So it's actually conditioning them to how to deal with conflict, but do it in a safe space and do it with tools that they can also use into their conflicts or whatever they have in the future. So
absolutely. Yeah. And I often think that, I mean, I've lost my shit a whole bunch of times in front of my children towards Todd, you know, and I've often had to go back and bring the children into the room and say, like, I'm really sorry for my behaviour before. What I said was hurtful, mean, disrespectful, and I'm sorry that I said it. And then watch them observe me own my behaviour, because we can't be expected as humans to self-regulate all the time. There's going to be times where, you know, it's going to get the better of us, right? But how do we show them what to do after the fact when we're, you know, when we've self-regulated, and then we understand, you know, like, often I see when Bella, she's my crybaby, she will cry at everything, you know, and I want to say, Bella, stop crying. Like, enough is enough. Stop crying, you know. But then I'll have to think to myself, I'm basically saying, don't feel, you know, like, don't feel the emotions that you're feeling, you know. And I've had to really catch myself with that. I don't know whether any other mum feels the same way, you know, but I'm like, basically, what I've started to do in replacement is, instead of telling her not to cry, trying to mirror back her emotions to herself. So she's crying over, I don't know, let's say something stupid like Sissy ate one of her chicken nuggets, right? Which often happens because they're obsessed with chicken nuggets in my house. And I'll have to say to her, I can see that you're sad because Sissy ate one of the chicken nuggets, you know? And she'll say, I am sad. So we've labeled the emotion, you know, and then automatically she'll stop crying. It would take me probably 4 times of saying, all right, enough, Bella, stop crying, for her to actually stop crying. It's far quicker just to help her, like, label and identify the emotion that she's feeling, and then everyone can move on. Have you found the same with your children?
Definitely. Absolutely. Yeah, and like I totally know what you mean. Like, you want to kind of, I don't know if it's the way that I was raised or something, or like just what we see and what we think of healthy parenting from our upbringing, but it's not, giving the tools to recognize a feeling is, I think, sometimes harder to begin with, but definitely pays off, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And then you have to learn it yourself as well. And
totally.
And then you catch yourself going, like, reverting back, and you're like, oh, fuck. Okay, let's try it again.
Yeah.
But then they see that too, though.
Totally.
And they see that you're doing that journey, and that I love that quote. We're all doing life for the first time.
Oh, I love that.
So displaying that to your children and letting them see your errors as well.
Yes.
I think it's so good, and that's why I love doing business in front of them as well, because, as you know, when you do business, you can't just go in, go out. You have to change so much of who you are to do it and do it well.
Yes.
You have to learn how to self-regulate. You have to learn how to make hard choices, and then they get to witness that.
Yeah.
And that's pretty cool.
You know what? I'm going to call it. I reckon being a mum is harder than being a businesswoman, you know? You know, like, I think that, like, you know, credit where credit's due. Anyone that is a parent, you know, I take my hat off. And if I'm being completely honest, I honestly thought I was going to love being a mum more than I actually do, you know? And that's the reality of it, really. I don't enjoy playing, you know, like, I'm like, don't enjoy doing Barbies, you know, I much prefer to go to work, you know, and all this kind of stuff. So I don't know. I just wanted to put it out there and to see where the dialogue goes, because I think being a mum is really tough.
I completely agree. And I think we've had this conversation before. And when you said that to me the first time, it honestly, it made me feel so comforted and so like, oh, this is actually a normal feeling, because I did prefer going to work and going to the office and avoiding dealing with the tantrums and I'm like, if you're going to build a block, play with blocks, do it this way, please. Like, put them into, that's how you do it. None of this, like, oh, it's got to look like a dog. How does the blocks look like a dog? I can't deal with that. It's so out of my range of, and I do prefer going, like, that was actually me taking the easy way out.
Yeah.
It was not easy way out, but that was me choosing the easier option for me. So when Brenton, currently, when we're talking about our roles now, I get home from work and I say to him, Brenton, I'm so glad that you've been taking care of the family right now, because that to me is so much harder.
Yes.
And I find that your day, you've shared about your day, that's so much more harder than what I had to do.
Yeah.
So.
Totally. I know, that's why when I know this sounds awful and I shouldn't say this, like, 'cause I love my kids. I truly do. Like, I love them. And they're like the greatest gift on earth. But like the best part of my day is dropping them off at daycare. Obviously, the second best part is picking them up from daycare, right? But like, I must admit, I go to the childcare and I was like, you guys have the shittest job on this earth, right? I was like, this stuff is hard. I'm flat out controlling 2 kids, and you guys managed to get 10 kids to a table to sit and eat. Like, what spell are you casting over these children when they get here? Because they sure as shit don't do that for me at home, you know? And so I know recently there's been quite a significant diagnosis in your house, both with your husband and your child. Do you want to talk me through a little bit about that?
Yes, I'm more than happy to share, because I think there's a lot of power in sharing this kind of story, because we need to make it more norm to share, because it's not something to be ashamed of. And I'm so fucking proud of my husband and my daughter. They are incredible humans. They beat me in so many things, and I love it, and I'm here for it. So my beautiful daughter, yes, when we were learning about her diagnosis, we didn't really realize, we just kind of were like, oh, I think we need a little bit of therapy to help with some emotional regulation. And then while it was unfolding, we learnt about, actually she's on the spectrum. And then when that unfolded, my husband realized that he is also on the spectrum, as we started to learn more about it, and we connected the dots. It all just made kind of sense. And so that is quite new to our household, and has definitely, like, learning about what Brenton shares with me is that he's having to relearn himself completely, like from scratch again, because he didn't realize that his whole life he was masking. And so that's incredibly powerful, because not only are you looking at how you deal with life now, you're also looking at life before this moment. And so all these experiences that he's been now revisiting, he realizes, oh, that's why I felt the way that I did. And then sometimes he might even ask himself, why wasn't I accommodated for XYZ to be able to deal with it? Or how on earth did I manage through that? Because for him, like, just he has this very particular experience where his dad really wanted to help him practice the skills of mowing the yard, right? And I think for any father and son, that's quite a beautiful moment, right? That's true. It's that moment of, like, you know, here we go,
You're a man.
Son. You're a man. Let's mow the yard. And that's beautiful for his dad. But for my husband, it was incredibly, what's the word? it was really traumatizing because for him, the over sensory load, overload of sensories, was like it was that flight mode that he went into, and then he went into shutdown because he wanted to do that thing and connect to his dad, but then also, so he always felt weird about why was that experience so hard, and now he realizes it. So
wow,
it's just a whole thing.
And so, did you ever suspect that he was autistic?
No, I just thought that was my beautiful, quirky husband.
Okay, we just thought he was quirky.
Like, sometimes, and you can ask him, I always used to call him my cranky man. Because there were, like, different things. Like, he was just a cranky old man sometimes. I'm like, you're a bit young for it, but it's just him. And I just thought that was him, and I loved him for him. And but now we know that actually it's a lot more, he goes through a lot more to self-regulate than other people do.
Right. And so tell me, what does that look like? So, like, when we say, what are his nuances, like his differences? Because he's very high functioning, obviously, and he's incredibly intellectual and smart and all that kind of stuff. So how does autism present for him?
So for him, it looks like, which is so funny because it's a big part of his role, is unexpected meetings or unexpected calls where he has to jump into action, really unregulate him, and it will put him into stress mode. Mm-hmm. And being in large crowds where there's so many inputs, like so many sensory inputs, like the noise especially. The noise is huge. If there are multiple, like there's the sound of a crowd, there's the sound of people talking, and he's having to try and focus on a conversation or even do something like get from place A to place B, it's incredibly stressful.
So it's that rigidity, routine, structure, which is really like the pillars to make it a successful day for him. And then if there's any interruption in that, that would like throw him a little bit.
Yes.
Oh, interesting. And obviously there's the sensory overload. So like how does he set himself up for success? Or is he still learning now? Because obviously he's like, this is a new diagnosis. So like, well, I don't know. Has he known that these things are important to him before? Or is it like now because it's new, now he's recognising that he needs to set himself up for success with other supports or structures or whatever?
Yeah.
How's that playing out?
So I think to a degree he's always known he needs X, Y, Z, right? Like to be able to get through a day, or especially go to a new place. Especially the city, whenever we visit the city, we always know, like, he'll research the fuck out of a place and be like, it's got to have, there's got to be, certain things for him to be able to retreat to a quiet place. And we just thought that was like, oh, okay, this is what you like, you're particular. And now he knows, actually, it's because I need to regulate. So
wow.
Yeah.
And so I know, because we've been to Empire Mastery together, and Aaron Sansoni, that he's then that's a very loud environment. Like imagine lots of loud noises, clapping, jumping up and down, loud music. I can just imagine that would be a sensory overload. And he's had to take breaks in the day to go and what does he do during those breaks? Does he just rest? Does he lie down? Does he listen to music? Like, what's his thing?
So he, to go to these events now, he'll bring his ear loops.
Okay.
Have you heard of them before?
No.
Oh, they're really cool. They're like, so my daughter wears earmuffs because it's the same situation for her. But my husband, because they're a lot more inconspicuous, they're like a earplug, but they kind of look cool as well. So they're really, and they just help buffer that sound and like take out all that extra sound so that you can focus on what you're doing. So he wears that to be able to attend. And he also wears them when parenting because, as you know, there's lots of sounds of kids.
Yes.
And then, he'll retreat to the room and just, like, do something that he really loves, because he's the type of, like I said, he's an incredibly gifted person, and when there's something that he loves and is really interested in, he will he will pull that thing apart until he knows every single part of it.
Yes.
And so, yeah.
So I imagine he's very analytically minded. Like he could
Incredibly.
go for like a deep dive into something.
Yeah.
Because that's something that I struggle with. Like I like being, like I call myself the innovator and everyone else is the implementers, right? And so like I come in with these like crazy harebrained ideas. I was like, right now I'll go, you know? But like the idea of like deep diving into something to figure it out or like map it out or whatever is like, oh, yuck, you know? But I imagine that would be something that he would love.
And at the start of our business journey,
yes,
we found that was where we contended the most.
Yeah.
Because he was very thoughtful and he was looking, he didn't want to take an action until we knew every single detail of that action and every consequence.
Yeah.
Where I was like, but the opportunity's here. We've got
Let's
to
just
jump
go.
on it. Let's fucking go. Like,
Yeah.
I can't wait. Like, the urgency is here right now. And so that would always create a very good balance. But then also, if I was wrong, he'd be like, oh, we'll see.
Yes.
And if I was wrong, I'd be like, or if he was wrong, I'd be like, see. You know? So, balance.
And so what about social interaction? Because I know, you know me, I'm a very cuddly, touchy-feely person and I don't consider other people's personal boundaries. And so I remember when I seen Brenton at the Aaron Sansoni event, I think it was the first one where we attended together, and I like ran up to him and I like wrapped my arms around him and I gave him the cuddle and he was like, what the hell are you doing? Like he was mortified.
Like him. Yeah.
And I was like, oh my God, I didn't even realize how uncomfortable that I could potentially make people feel by my, you know, physical touch, you know? And so how does that play out?
I suppose it's just one of those
Did he
things where
say,
he
don't
just
touch me.
yeah, maybe he
Don't
needs,
fucking touch me.
like maybe he needs like a necklace or something, or like a little tattoo to be like, sorry.
Yeah.
I suppose that's the thing. It's that balance of learning to also live in the world. Like
Yes.
you can't. And when we talk about this often, is like you can't, and we don't want the same for our daughter. We can't just isolate her from the world because it's uncomfortable. So the same thing with our daughter that we talk about with Brenton, which is we still need to live in the world and deal with what's uncomfortable. And so, but we try to do it in a safe space as much as possible and get used to it in a safe space. So that way, when we're out in public, you know, it's those practice skills.
Yeah.
Like what an OT does. You know, you're getting that conditioning.
Yeah.
You know, with certain things.
But I also think it would be educating people like myself who don't know physical boundaries, that makes them feel uncomfortable. Like I should have probably asked her consent to give him a hug. You know what I mean? So it's like, it would probably be like, hey, thanks for that hug. But like next time, do you want to ask if you can wrap your arms around me? Because I've actually wasn't very cognizant to it until after that fact. So he actually taught me a lesson in that moment, unbeknownst to him, obviously. But I was like, oh my God, he's disgusted by But I was like, oh my God, I should probably tell people like, oh, I'm a hugger. Is that okay?
Yeah.
You know? So I think there's this like beautiful delicate dance whereby yes, they have to, you know, live in our mainstream society, but also we have to learn to educate people on the differences of potentially someone on the spectrum or any other thing. They just might not, they might have had, I might be hugging someone who's got, you know, a trauma background and that might trigger them, you know, and I might be completely unaware of that, you know. So I think there's like a delicate dance between education and, you know, learning to adapt, you know.
Certainly.
Yeah, so tell him he can tell me to fuck off next time. And so I would say that he's a high functioning autistic man. So is he adding any supports into his life or no? Getting therapy, seeing a support specialist. Like I don't know what happens when you get diagnosed as an adult.
Yeah. So his main supports has been talking to other people
Yes.
who are also on the spectrum and who've been diagnosed as an adult especially, and particularly he really connects with people who are also in business and also on the spectrum because
And there's so many incredible business people that are on the spectrum.
yeah, and they know it all, some don't even know it.
Yes.
and it's a huge thing for him to be able to have that relation so that you can connect to those people on that level, because no one else gets. I'd love to think that I get him, but I don't fully get him. I can't put my hand. Like I like to try, and I even say to him, when we're having our conflict, I tell him straight up, like, Brenton, what you need from me, I don't actually know how to give to you, and I know that you're seeking this, but I don't know, I don't have the skills to give it to you. So let's work on it, and I'm going to do my best to learn and how to. But I don't get it. I don't always fully get him.
Yeah,
And
I
so-
love how like raw and honest that is, you know, and that you can hold each other and just say like, I want to give it to you, but I don't know how, you know. Do you find that he's able to like understand your daughter more?
Oh, he always has. They're like, he's like that with both our kids in saying that, because I think this is his superpower as well, because although he doesn't always fully understand social situations the way that a neurotypical person does, he's also had to learn really fucking hard how to have those skills. So sometimes he's far better at those social skills than I am. So when it comes to our daughter, he's so much better at listening to her and seeing perspective from her and giving her that time to regulate, whereas I'm like, let's fucking go, like we don't have time for these emotions. And so that's why they connect so well. So he's an incredible father to our daughter.
Oh, I love that so much. And so historically they used to call a high functioning person with autism Asperger's, right? So I seen the other day, I'm just going to bring it up on my phone. Do you know the history of Asperger's?
I do, because I read that post.
Crazy, right? And I just want to read it. I'm just going to bring it up here. So, and I didn't realize that we don't use Asperger's anymore. Maybe I haven't stayed as connected to that as I should have, you know, but apparently it's like a dirty word. And the reason why is that autism is now considered a spectrum, and I think that I've got some research just on the piece of paper, which I'll bring up in a minute. But basically Asperger's is a term named after Hans Asperger's. He was a doctor and a Nazi collaborator. So when back in that day, he separated the good autistic people who were seen as like productive to society and the bad, which he deemed unworthy of life, right? And so the people with Asperger's were the productive for society, could do good, and the rest were considered unworthy of life. And so Asperger, the guy, referred children to a clinic called, I don't know what I'm going to try and say this, Am Spiegelberg in Vienna, where nearly 800 children were experimented on or murdered. I mean, that just fucking broke my heart. And this was part of the Nazi T4 program, where over 300,000 people with disabilities were murdered. Doesn't that just blow your fucking mind?
Yeah.
I didn't even know that was even the history of how the word Asperger's came to be. And how we could determine anybody be worthy of life or unworthy of life, regardless of a disability. Like, how does that make you feel?
I think, sadly, that lack of understanding, it has its history, right? But we've seen that not just with people with disabilities, right? We've seen it with all kinds of people of minority groups. We don't understand each other, so therefore, because we don't understand, we put in a group, or we think less than, because we don't know how to relate to. And so bridging that gap, I think, comes to talking about things more, education, like you were saying, educating yourself on minority groups or people with disabilities, just like so that you can understand that, you know, like the news of the language that we use. Like I know that that's why I do think language is incredibly important, because of the power behind those words, right? So I think I said a whole lot of nothing just then.
No, I get it. I mean, like, it just made me so sad. That's the first emotion that I felt. But then secondly, I was like, if I didn't know that the word Asperger's was a word that would be offensive, even though I thought that it meant high-functioning autistic person, that it means that other people don't know. It's not mainstream information. And it's like using the word mentally retarded, you know, or spastic. Those were common words that we used to identify someone with a disability, you know, many moons ago, and it's now considered incredibly offensive, right? So it's like, how do we shift the narrative and educate others on this so that I don't have to slap my 15-year-old in the face when he says, you're a retard, you know, because I don't think he understands, well, I know he doesn't understand what it means. And it wasn't until I explained it to him and why we don't call anybody by that anymore, because he was just not aware, because all the kids say it at school, you know? I don't know. What do you think? How do we, that seems like a big question, but like, how can we do better as a society to like educate people more on the impact of the language?
I think people are, like, it's now at least something we're talking about. So that's a step, right, that we should recognize. So that's
True.
amazing.
Yeah.
So, I mean, like, look, when we look at Sheldon from The Big Bang Theory or Elon Musk, we recognize and we go, traits of a person on the spectrum, right? And that's quite beautiful. Like, even seeing it in entertainment, like, that it's that taking away of taboo and going, oh, that's not, no, it's perfectly normal. We're seeing, what is it, 1800 something, the diagnosis was one in every 2,000 people are on the spectrum. Now it's one in every
3, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't know. It's high.
Yeah.
One in 70 the last time I saw.
Yeah.
But really, I think if we were all really honest with ourselves and knew how to and kept going, that number would just keep decreasing.
Yes.
Because like you said, it's a spectrum.
Yes.
Right? So the more that we educate, the more that we talk about, the more that we put out there, having these kind of conversations, watching media and like supporting media where, you know, it's not placed, like even Disney's doing a pretty good job of, they're doing a lot of it in lots of areas, but even they're putting like people on the spectrum. There was a really beautiful Disney short with a person on the spectrum who was nonverbal.
Oh,
I fucking loved it. It was so beautiful to see, and it wrecked me. But, you know, putting it out there that, you know, this community exists and is remarkable, but like following people like that on entertainment, but also following them on social media, like I don't know if I'm allowed to get political, but Jordan Steele.
Yeah.
Oh, remarkable man.
Yeah.
Incredible man. And the journey that he's going, and he's being so vulnerable with his story so that you can get into the mind of someone like that. It's, I think, a really good way to start.
I just got goose pimples all over my body when you said remarkable. I was like, oh my God, I felt that. I felt that word. And so, yeah, I did. I got goosebumps. And I think that that's kind of like why I'm so passionate. I know you're passionate too about being a thought leader in this space, right? Is because this kind of news isn't sexy. It doesn't sell magazines. It doesn't sell, you know, the airtime on the mainstream media. So it's like, how do we start to make these stories a little bit sexier, you know, and find a way to, you know, educate through mainstream platforms and shift the narrative from dodgy NDIS provider to how about we help educate people about autism, you know, so that we can be better as a human population, you know. I remember we had Halloween recently, well, in October last year. Fuck, is it that long ago? Wow, that was a while ago. And obviously our street goes nuts for Halloween, right? And so there's hundreds and hundreds of kids, hundreds and hundreds of families, and this beautiful bunch of kids came up, and this boy put his hand into the bucket and he took one lolly, and then he sort of had a little bit of a grunt, and then he went back for another, and his mum had to, and he was the cutest little kid, right? And Bella was going, he have another one, you know, like just giving away all the chocolate, and his mum had to come up because he couldn't stop obsessing over the bucket and say, I'm really sorry, but he's autistic. And I was like, why the fuck is she apologizing for me? To me, first was number one, why is she on God's earth apologizing for her son for being a child, as far as I could tell, right? And two, why did she feel she had to tell me he was autistic for me to be able to accept his behavior, right? I was like, oh, of course, no problem. But it made me sad that she had to feel like she had to apologize and then tell me his diagnosis like it labeled him. You know, he was just being a kid in that moment.
And I do the same.
Mm.
Like, now that I know Chloe's diagnosis, my daughter's diagnosis, I found myself apologizing for when she couldn't fit into a certain group, or if I had to remove her from a place because I was like, oh, sorry, she's on the spectrum.
Yeah.
And I was like, why am I talking like that? I shouldn't. Yeah, you're exactly right. And even though I am I feel like I'm somewhat educated in these things, I still struggle with myself because we go, it's not in the norm, so I have to apologize for it, which is like, no, I should be. I am incredibly proud of my two beautiful humans.
100%. And they might be slightly different, if that's what we even want to call it, you know, but they're just their unique self as well, right? And Bella, my cuckoo child, she doesn't have a diagnosis, but she certainly knows how to chuck a tantrum in the middle of the shopping centre and throw herself on the ground and roll around and kick and scream and whatever. I'm not apologising for her. She's 3, you know? And so I'm like, oh, well, like, you haven't seen a child have a tantrum before. Move on. You know what I mean? Like, I'm death staring them. You know what I mean? I'm not apologising for her behaviour, you know? So I think that, like, it's interesting once we attach the diagnosis, right? Now we feel like we either need to re-identify ourselves like Brenton, or we need to start apologising for the fact that they're, you know, maybe having a dysregulation at that moment or whatever, right? Crazy. So tell me, what terminology should we use moving forward, and how do we make it inclusive and respectful? Like, how would you like people to refer to your husband, your daughter, you know, or are there no labels?
I think that's the thing. Like, well, firstly, don't be afraid of having a conversation, because every person likes it different, right? It's the same way that we approach pronouns. My husband is comfortable with the term autistic, but some people don't feel comfortable with that. They prefer a person with autism. And then some people are really dead against that. Some people still like the term Aspie. They own it. They love it. That's how they identify. So I think it's just about the same way that we would, treat pronouns and talk to each person about how they prefer us to talk to them. It's the same way like a name, isn't it? Like, I don't call you Sarah. I call you Rachel because your name's Rachel and you've told me your name's Rachel.
Yes.
Well, when we have a conversation, we unfold these things. Well, then we learn this is how we talk about each other as well.
Yes, and that's even if they want that identification, right?
Yeah.
Like, if they want to, I know it sounds weird, but identify as a person with someone with autism or whatever, or whether they'd prefer not to have that attachment.
Yeah.
You know, you're so right. It's like, how about we just, you know, similar to me learning that I have to ask for consent, we have to ask the question, right? And it might be a difficult conversation. I know recently I had to ask, you know, one of my friends what their preferred pronoun is, right? And we ended up getting into a bit of a debate about it because he is transitioning to a she, and she said to me, and I'm going to give her preferred pronoun even though she hasn't told me yet. She said to me that until she doesn't look like a man anymore, then she feels embarrassed by suggesting that you would call her she, right? Mind you, still very feminine, wears high heels, have a gorgeous bag, you know, and then she proceeded to show me who she wanted to look like, and it was an Instagram influencer who'd obviously had an abundance of cosmetic surgery, and she's like, until I look like this, I won't ask anybody to refer me to as her she, even though that's what she wants. You know, so it's like, even if you do want that preferred pronoun, there's already a dialogue going on in their head around their attachment to it, you know, that we don't even know about, you know? So it's interesting, labels, isn't it?
Yeah.
And so tell me, as a director, as a businesswoman, an entrepreneur, I know you look at other things as well, as a mum, how do you keep sane? How do you look after yourself?
At the minute, my go-to has been walking. So I've been walking a lot.
I thought you were going to say margaritas. Maybe that's just me.
No, I go red and then I fall asleep.
Oh,
so, no, I've been walking a lot, which is good. But I'm very lucky that I have a good support in friends as well. Like, my husband, first and foremost, like, he's not only dealing with his own stuff, but he counsels me too. And he's always a listening ear. And if he can't, he'll say, okay, you know, talk to the next best friend. So how do I stay sane? I've learned that I have to celebrate a lot, which I was not used to. I've learnt that, like, again, coming from quite a low socioeconomic background where things were very tight, you know, there was no money for the extra stuff. I've had to learn you need to be, like, to have fun. And it's okay to, like, that time that you have off is an investment so that you don't lose the plot.
Totally.
So, yeah, doing things like celebrating and taking a quick weekend with the family or things like that has been, now that I'm viewing it as an investment into myself and my long-term sanity, has been one of the ways that I stay sane, as well as I'm very, because of my family's rigidity, we're also huge on scheduling. So at the start of every week, we put together a family schedule, and that has been the cornerstone of how we of how we all live together, because we all have different schedules. And so that way there's nothing unexpected, and I'm not like, oh, by the way, Brenton, I've got this meeting and I have to stay back. Or he's not like, oh, by the way, I've got to take the kids to XYZ and blah, 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 blah. It's, schedule, walking, celebrating.
Schedule, walking, celebrating. I love that so much. And I like that you intentionally make time, whether it be stillness, whether it be a holiday or what have you. Because without those things, like, what the fuck's the point? You know, like, if we can't take our family on a weekend away or enjoy time with them, then, like, what's it all for in the end?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think you've had a similar journey as I, where, like, I got to a point where I was working so hard and I got a little bit too obsessed with everything that I'm madly in love with, and all the business stuff, but it was starting to kill me, like, physically.
Yeah.
Like, my hair was coming out in clumps. I had all kinds of problems with my hormones. I was not able to be regulated. I was in constant stress. And then I was drinking coffee on top of that as well.
Yeah. Central nervous system overload.
Yeah. And, you know, like, that was a fun time, and I'm still grateful for that period. But now I've learned that I have to learn from that, and I can't live from there, or I'll die early.
Yeah, absolutely. I had a similar experience, and I think that one of my biggest learnings in business is that I was doing 16, 17-hour days for far too long. And one of the other things I learned is that I was just busy for the sake of being busy. There was so much stuff in that 17-hour day that did not require me at all. So I was not even busy for any good intention. And so now I do intentional hours, you know, in my day, because I had a similar situation. I went through burnout, and the 12 stage, and I didn't realize I was going through burnout until after the fact, when my coach sat me down and she went through the 12 stages of burnout with me, because there was a point where I just stopped caring. I physically couldn't show up for work. I couldn't even think about an answer. It would just overload me. I started to, you know, socially isolate myself. I wouldn't want to pick up the phone. I'd avoid phone calls. I stopped coaching with all of my coaches because I just couldn't bring myself to tell them that I was struggling. And in the end, I ended up in hospital because I literally had what I thought at the time was a stroke. I lost all the left-hand side. I got left-hand side paralysis of my body. I stood up and I literally fell over. I couldn't walk. And I had to get Todd to take me to the hospital. And I thought I was having a stroke. And obviously that scared the shit out of me. I gave myself anxiety, like a diagnosis of anxiety. Never had anxiety before, and all of a sudden I'm now medicated for anxiety. I fully physiologically, like, ruined my body. I was in hospital 4 or 5 times, and I didn't even realize. I went and had MRI. I had MRI scans of my brain and spine. My doctor thought I had an MS diagnosis. We couldn't figure it out, and all it fucking was burnout. Like, what people talk about burnout, like, oh, I'm just really stressed. If you actually go through burnout, which I think is probably a similar thing to what it takes over your body. Your body actually shuts down, and it was one of the scariest times in my life.
I think one of the interesting things that you said, though, as well, through that was when you were experiencing burnout, it didn't look like you just going, oh, I'm not going to work anymore and then flat. You were still pushing to work, right, whilst doing that.
Totally.
So your burnout, it was hard to almost recognize yourself that you were going through burnout. There wasn't like a symptom list.
You came to my event last year in October.
Yeah.
I was going through burnout then.
Yeah.
And nobody
No one
even
would've
knew.
known.
The whole day I was sweating from head to toe. I put on weight. I was like holding weight. I was in hospital the week before that event, and nobody knew around me. Yeah, it was, and then also I was ashamed that I went through burnout. That, you know, because that also comes with it too. It's like, oh God, I couldn't handle it all. You know, I couldn't handle the pressure and all of that sort of stuff. But it actually led me to this beautiful place, you know, that I will never experience burnout again. I made critical hires in my business. I learned the power of stillness. I started doing breath work. I only now work in, you know, an 8-hour day. I'm super intentional with home time. I break. I take holidays. I use my weekend to relax, you know. And what's actually come out of that is I'm intentional with my time. I'm far more high productive. I only do shit that matters. You know what I mean? Like, I'm like, thank you, burnout. Only now, right?
Yeah.
At the time, I was like, I'm dying.
Yeah.
I'm never going to be around for my kids. But that was in that moment, I was like literally, what is this all for? I'm going to die, you know? Like, I literally thought I was dying.
Yeah.
Scary, huh?
It is. And I think it's wild that you got, like, it wasn't until your body told you.
Yes, fully. And I suppose because I didn't know what the stages of burnout was, everyone kept saying to me, oh, you can't keep going like this, you know? The amount of times I heard that, right? Like, you know, or your central nervous system is shot. I was like, shut up. I thrive in chaos. I told myself this story that I thrive in chaos, right? And don't get me wrong, I'm quite comfortable in chaos, but nobody fucking thrives in chaos for a sustainable period of time.
Yes.
Before their body fucking says, hold up, mate. You know what I mean? So it wasn't until my coach sat down with me and she's like, tell me what's been happening. And she forced me to sit with her. And I was like, this is what's been happening over the period of this time. She's like, let me walk you through the 12 stages of burnout, Del. And I was like, oh my God. But I was finally happy that I wasn't dying and I didn't have a significant brain tumor or anything like that. I went to see what are the neuro people?
Neurospecialist?
Yeah, like, I think, is that what they're called? Neurologist. Yeah, like $1,000 for a MRI scan on my spine because it's not covered under Medicare. So thank goodness it was just burnout, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So is there anything, looking ahead, where are we going? What's happening as a mom, as a business owner for Caring Care? What's next for you?
Yeah. So at the minute, like personally, still discovering the diagnoses in our house and learning how to navigate the busyness of business whilst also making space for my loved ones is definitely something I'm still trying to figure out. And I think will probably be something that I continue to figure out because we all transform, right? We all change. So there's that. And there's also just, continually refining our business. I feel like there's always space to improve. I heard that quote recently, if you're not growing, you're dying. And that to me is like so beautiful because I used to get a bit frustrated with myself because I'm like, I'm always moving, I'm always changing. Like, why can't I just like stick with this and then write it out? And hearing that quote actually was really healing because I was like, no, this is part of me. I grow. I'm always adapting to new situations and that's who I am and that's what's made me as successful as I am. And so, yeah, going along with all those changes is, it's who I am and I love it. Caring care-wise, what are we doing? Leaning into and learning the new space of allied health, which is really fun. And continuing to be mentored and coached. That's quite a new thing to me as a business owner. I didn't realize that investing into coaches was actually a thing.
Yeah.
So, just going along with the ride and listening to the advice around me is really fun. And keeps me accountable too.
I love that so much. And is there an opportunity here for Care and Care to do something specialised in the autism space?
That's the plan.
I was
yes,
like,
absolutely.
that would be a missed opportunity if you don't do that.
Absolutely. So the more that I'm learning about neurodiversity and specifically the spectrum, it's definitely inspired me to create more intentional SLES programs as well that are designed around how a neurodivergence mind works, rather than being like, here's the skill, off you go.
Yeah, I love that so much. And you briefly mentioned coaching and mentoring, and it's a new space for you. What are you finding that you're learning, or like what's been your biggest takeaway? Or I know you're doing a few coaching programs, I mean, including myself, of course. So like, what are you getting out of coaching and mentoring? Because you know how I feel about it, right? Like mentorship and that kind of thing. Like what's your biggest thing that you're taking away?
My biggest takeaway from my coaching all round is I always thought that to be successful, you had to have some kind of secret special sauce. And all those people who were successful were hiding that secret sauce. It's now that I talk to people like yourself or my coaches with Empire Circle, I'm like, these are normal people. There's nothing, I mean, you are special, but there's nothing like, they're not hiding some kind of secret power that they've found in some kind of alien meteorite that makes them special. They're regular people just like taking the risks and being brave and continuously learning. And it's like, I can do that actually. And so that's what I'm constantly learning is that, I can do those things too.
Absolutely. And you know what I also know is that I've had, the amazing opportunity to spend time with people that are far smarter than me, far more wealthier than me. I've spent time with millionaires, billionaires, but I've also spoke with people that are broke, homeless, drug addicts. And I'm telling you, it doesn't matter from, homeless through to the most richest person on the planet. No one has their fucking shit together, right? Nobody has all of the answers, right? And we're all just trying to figure it out. Yeah.
All living life for the first time.
Oh, I love that. I think that's a wrap, Beck. Thank you so much for your beautiful time, energy, openness, rawness, vulnerability, and for sharing all of your life with us here today.
Pleasure. Thank you so much for having me.
Let's have a cuddle. Oh, you did so good.